With just 88 days until the big kickoff, anticipation is mounting ahead of the World Cup in Russia.But for some players currently out injured. That ticking clock to the tournament represents a fraught race to get back to full fitness in time to make their nation's squad. We take a look at some of the players who need to regain their fitness in order to make the greatest tournament. Did it happen? Neymar went down in a heap during Paris Saint-Germain's 3-0 Ligue 1 win over Marseille on February 25, suffering a hairline fracture to his fifth metatarsal and a sprained ankle. The Brazilian star returned home at the beginning of this month and underwent surgery in Belo Horizonte before beginning a process of rehabilitation that has seen him use a wheelchair. The recovery is being overseen by Brazil and PSG physiotherapist Rafael Martini, who has worked with Neymar since he started his career at Santos. PSG said following his operation that they would re-evaluate the situation in mid-April and see whether he can return to training. In the meantime, Neymar has posted Instagram footage of himself working on upper body strength in the gym while wearing a protective boot. What has been the impact? The main impact for PSG is that they exited the Champions League at the hands of Real Madrid. Without Neymar in the team, they were unable to turn around a 3-1 first-leg deficit in their last 16 tie with the defending champions, losing 2-1 at the Parc des Princes last week. They have won all 4 domestic matches in his absence. What are they saying? Brazilian coach Tite said. Neymar's father said the primary concern is the athlete's health. It is the same thing all us think. Health comes first. You don't pay for winning like that, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the Brazilian national team. Paying a price with someone's health or rushing someone's recovery, we don't do that. Will he make it? There does remain some doubt, because this is expected to be a 3-month layoff, but Neymar himself is in a positive mindset, as shown by his social media posts. He may not return for the end of the French season, but should just about make the World Cup assuming he doesn't suffer any further setbacks, and proved his fitness in Brazil's warm-up matches. As their star turn, the entire nation of Brazil will be praying for his recovery in time. Did it happen? Kane injured his right ankle in a collision with Bournemouth goalkeeper ＳUBCRIBER during Tottenham's 4-1 win at the Vitality Stadium last Sunday. Both the striker and the goalkeeper were going for the ball when Kane's leg got caught underneath SUBCRIBER. Kane wanted to continue initially, but was eventually forced to hobble off. He left the stadium on crutches, and scans once the swelling had subsided revealed ankle ligament damage that will keep him out until April. This was welcome news for both club and country, though Kane, who has scored 39 goals this season, will need to regain full sharpness in time for the World Cup. What has been the impact? None so far, because Tottenham haven't played since he suffered the injury. However, there's no question his absence will severely impact on their hopes of securing a top 4 place in the Premier League and winning the FA Cup. Kane will also miss England's upcoming friendlies against Holland in Amsterdam on March 23 and Italy at Wembley on March 27, though he's a certain starter in Gareth Southgate's team if fit. What are they saying? Tottenham manager Mauricio Pochettino said he is very positive. He was positive after the game. His character is always optimistic, and he is focused on trying to recover as soon as possible. It is no excuse now that Harry is out for a few weeks that we are not going to have the same mentality and try and win the games. Of course, we are going to miss Harry, because it is obvious he is one of the best. But we are calm and relaxed because we have enough quality to play and win games. Will he make it? Yes, Kane should be back fit and hopefully firing to lead England's challenge at the World Cup. The signs are that Kane will be back towards the end of April, but the whole nation will be hoping he doesn't suffer any more injury setbacks before the World Cup. How did it happen? Bayern Munich and Germany goalkeeper Neuer has broken his foot 3 times in the past 12 months, and it has taken surgery and plenty of rehabilitation to get it back up to strength. It first started nearly a year ago, when he picked up an injury in Bayern's defeat by Real Madrid in the Champions League. Neuer was back in the Bayern side at the very start of the season, playing in 3 Bundesliga and 1 Champions League match, before suffering another metatarsal problem. Bayern said at the time that Neuer, who had clearly been rushed back, sustained a repeat hairline fracture of the metatarsal in his left foot and this time required surgery. Initially, Neuer was meant to return to action in January, but this has been continuously put back, with the keeper even going on holiday to Thailand to aid his rehab. Now with 2 months until Joachim Löw names his Germany squad for the World Cup, Neuer, who hasn't played for Bayern since September 16 and hasn't played for Germany since October 2016, really does face a fitness race. What has been the impact? Initially, his absence seemed to throw Bayern off their stride a little. When they lost 3-0 at PSG in the Champions League back in September, it meant the end for coach Carlo Ancelotti. But Jupp Heynckes has restored them to their best form, and with Sven Ulreich deputizing in goal, Bayern have swept aside all comers on the domestic front, and they're into the quarter-finals of the Champions League too. They have conceded just 18 goals all season in the Bundesliga, where they presently enjoy a 20-point advantage at the top. They're into the semi-finals of the German Cup, and they just thrashed Besiktas 8-1 over 2 legs in Europe. What are they saying? Neuer told Sky Sport Bundesliga this week, "I know things are coming along very well, but of course there's still time until I'll be at full strength. I can't say right now exactly how long that's going to be. I'm currently at around 80% of my body weight at 5 km/h on the treadmill, and that's going up all the time. I expect to be walking at up to 90% without any problems next week, and then be up to 100% the week after, then I'll slowly start running. My walking profile is pretty good, and I'm not feeling any pain. I'm pretty confident I'll be playing again in the second half of the season." Will he make it? All expectations are that Neuer will be back fit again before the end of the season, but the question for both Löw and Heynckes is whether he can simply be thrown straight into the thick of the action. Following such a disrupted season, Neuer could well be short of full match sharpness, and given Bayern face important Champions League matches, it could be something of a risk. The good news is they have pretty much wrapped up the league title, so Neuer could play in the dead rubbers once they've sealed the crown. But Löw may need some more convincing. Although Neuer is one of the best keepers in the world, he hasn't played international football in so long that it would represent a gamble to start him at the World Cup. How did it happen? Sigurdsson picked up the knee injury during Everton's 2-0 Premier League win over Brighton last Saturday. He completed the match, but the issue came to light afterwards, with his brother, Ólafur Már Sigurdsson, telling Icelandic media that he damaged the joint of his right knee. After Sigurdsson saw a knee specialist on Monday, the Merseyside club said the Icelandic midfielder would likely be out for 6 to 8 weeks. However, manager Sam Allardyce was unhappy at that estimation, saying in a press conference that the rehabilitation time could well be shorter, so it seems up in the air at the moment. Someone gave out the wrong statement. It can be less than that. Whoever gave that statement out is going to get a BG today, so well done," he fumed. What has been the impact? Aside from raising Alardis's blood pressure slightly, nothing so far, because Everton haven't played since the weekend. However, the injury does come as a blow, with the Toffees hoping to end an up-and-down season on a high note. Sigurdsson had certainly shown better form since Alardis replaced Ronald Koeman in late November, with 5 goals since then. He has also created more goal-scoring opportunities than any of his teammates. But the impact on Iceland as they head to their first ever World Cup would be catastrophic if Sigurdsson doesn't make it. He is the country's star player and integral to their chances of repeating their brilliant run to the quarter-finals at Euro 2016. The entire nation will be desperate to see him fully fit and in form, ready for the trip to Russia in June, where they'll play Argentina, Croatia, and Nigeria in a tricky group. What are they saying? Everton boss Alardis, you cannot predict a length of injury in its entirety because you have people who heal quicker. Obviously, Gylfi's recovery time could be shorter than we might expect. Medics and specialists give a conservative view, and you try to beat that and try to get Gylfi back as soon as you can. Gylfi's motivation is obviously to get back playing for us and playing for Iceland in the World Cup. Will he make it? It will be touch and go as to whether we see Sigurdsson in an Everton shirt before the end of the season. Despite Alardis's optimism, if it does take 8 weeks for the player to return to full fitness, he may as well focus solely on the World Cup. The good news for Iceland is that their star man should be back in time for the big kickoff in Russia, which will doubtless come as a massive relief. How did it happen? Colombian winger Cuadrado had been struggling with the groin issue for some time and underwent surgery in Munich at the end of January. Juventus have said he will be sidelined well into April at the very least, and that leaves him potentially facing a fitness race for the World Cup, where Colombia will play Poland, Japan, and Senegal in the group. His last outing for Juventus was against Roma back on December 23, but that followed a couple of other minor injury niggles. Colombia coach Jose Pekerman faces an anxious wait to see whether Cuadrado, capped 69 times for his country, makes it back into the Juve team before the end of the campaign, and, if so, how effective he is. Given that Cuadrado makes up a pretty formidable forward trio with James Rodriguez and Radamel Falcao for the national side, his absence would be keenly felt. What has been the impact? Juventus coach Massimiliano Allegri refused to draft an emergency replacement for Cuadrado, who has 4 goals and 5 assists this season, during the January transfer window. And, in fairness, they haven't felt his absence too keenly as they chase a Serie A, Coppa Italia and Champions League treble before the end of the season. Indeed, they have won every single league match since Cuadrado suffered his injury, enabling them to catch and then overtake Napoli to take a 4-point lead in the race for the Scudetto. During his absence, they also overcame Atalanta to make the final of the Cup and beat Tottenham 4-3 over 2 legs in the last 16 of the Champions League. What are they saying? Allegri talking earlier this month, it's an inflammation. These things can go away in 2 days, they can last 3 months or they can last 6 months. We hope not. That is the reality of the situation. It's normal that right now Cuadrado isn't available, but if you ask me, is Cuadrado's season over? Hopefully not, but right now Cuadrado isn't available. Then if he will be after the international break, in 20 days, or in a month, we'll see. Will he make it? It remains uncertain whether Juventus will see Cuadrado again before the end of the season. The nature of the injury means it is tricky to predict a comeback with any accuracy, as Allegri said. With Juventus in fine form without him, and with a succession of highly important matches still to play, Cuadrado may well find it difficult to force his way back into a winning side to build his match fitness for the World Cup. But as long as he gains some game time, you can expect him to be part of the Colombia squad for the World Cup, where they'll hope he has a similar impact to the one he made in 2014. How did it happen? The Brazilian left-back suffered the injury during Atletico Madrid's 5-1 win over Lokomotiv Moscow in the last 16 of the UEFA Europa League on Thursday night. He departed the pitch unstretched after taking a blow to the calf that left him writhing in pain on the turf at the Lokomotiv Stadium. Filipe Luis was making a last-ditch tackle on Lokomotiv forward Eder, who swung through with his shot and kicked the Atletico man rather than the ball. Scans after the match revealed that he has suffered a fractured fibula and is there likely to be out for some time, putting his World Cup hopes in severe jeopardy. What has been the impact? His absence will doubtless have an impact on Atletico's pursuit of Europa League success, with the Spanish side one of the favorites to go all the way. They look pretty certain to finish in the Champions League places in La Liga, where they retain an outside chance of bridging the 8-point gap to leaders Barcelona. But missing the World Cup will come as a bitter blow for Filipe Luis, who missed out on the Brazil squad back in 2014, having been placed on the standby list. What are they saying? Atletico's statement on his injury: once in Madrid, Filipe Luis underwent radiological tests to understand the severity of the injury in his left leg. The medical staff can confirm the Brazilian left-back has fractured his left fibula. Will he make it? It doesn't look too good, with Filipe Luis set to spend several weeks on the sidelines as his fibula heals. He's almost certain to miss the remainder of Atletico's season. However, Brazil have remarkable strength and depth, so he may not be missed too much at the finals.